Hello and welcome to Business at Citywatch. I am Michael. We're going to be talking today with Stephen Jordon, and before we do that, I remind you to please give us a review wherever you happen to receive your podcast. We'd appreciate that. As I said, we're talking with Stephen Jordon of Sound Cybersecurity, and he helps small businesses with the security situation, which is something that a lot of people that I've spoken with either start right away with or wind up getting started on too late because something has happened. So hopefully we'll get ahead of this and see what we can do. So Stephen, thank you so much for being with us on Business at Citywatch.
Well, Michael, thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
I wanted to talk about the security aspect of this because, as I mentioned in the intro, a lot of companies don't really think about this until it's almost too late, and some people get started on it early and get so busy with the minutia of it that they don't actually get what they need to get. So talk to me about this. What are the mistakes that most small businesses make when they start their security procedures?
Well, I think you're mentioning that in the right direction because you don't know what you don't know, and it took me a long time in my prior IT business to finally get to that realization one day with the company, and just started asking questions and go to seminars and attend different events and learning all of those things that I didn't know that I needed to learn. And I think that's the big thing with security, that most business owners and managers are so busy with the day-to-day operations of their business, and that's a good thing, but sometimes you need to stop and learn those things that you don't know you need to know. And with computers and networks, that there's definitely a huge amount of cybersecurity matters that go unaddressed just because most businesses don't know that they need to look in that direction.
Is there a general outline that you give businesses when they come to you and they say, listen, I want to do this, or I want to make sure that we're okay?
I do have, a comprehensive kind of list of things to do, but I think where I point everybody to start with is really looking at email, and a lot of people might kind of tune out at that point, or maybe just think, well, I've already got that. And though they may have an email protection or email security suite or service or feature within their existing hosted email, or maybe they pay for it separately, that is just one piece of the puzzle. There's much more to email security than just that. So I think you'll see a lot of different statistics out there on the internet, but they're usually above 90% of all cyber attacks begin with an email. So to me, focusing on that email is obviously a huge place to start. There's lots of other things, but that's definitely the place to start.
Now, you mentioned that most people have some sort of firewall in place, but it's your opinion, I think, that it's usually inadequate, right?
Well, the firewall is good, and an email protection package is good. Everybody needs both of those things, but it's the other things that go unnoticed that a lot of IT companies, maybe they do it, maybe they don't, but the businesses just don't ever bite and want to get involved. And some of those services, primarily DMARC, MTA, STS, DNSSEC, DNS filter, throwing out acronyms at you, and don't worry, call me, I'll fill you in on the details of what those things are. But there are some, like spear phishings and business email compromise attacks. Those sort of things may never even pass through your router. They may not even pass through your email system. It could be a cyber criminal somewhere, a bad actor who's sending email to one of your vendors as if they're you, with your email address, and your systems that you've put in place would have nothing to do with that. That's where DMARC comes in to play and can stop that so that they can't use your email address for nefarious purposes. MTA STS, another one of those acronyms of, another security feature that stops man-in-the-middle attacks, and DNS security, stopping people from grabbing the hold of your DNS records and changing them and redirecting to other places. And of course, everybody's worried about links inside of their email, and we've got a great service of DNS filtering that, it kind of changes the perspective of how we approach that. Instead of just blocking bad links or known bad links, we only allow good links. So that kind of zero trust approach is a lot better. So there's lots of other things, and a lot of people may not even know that they need to be doing those things.
Okay. I want to get specifically into this a bit, but I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to break, come back, and then we'll start talking about how we might be able to improve the system that may already be in place. And we'll do that right after this. Citywatch on the Air, heard locally and worldwide on iHeartRadio.com, takes you through the ins and outs of business, exactly what your business needs to showcase your product or service. And we can do it for as little as $10 a week. If you don't believe me, text PROVE IT to 310-291-2790. That's PROVE IT to 310-291-2790. Hello, we are back, and we're with Stephen Jordon of Sound Cybersecurity, and we were talking before the break, and although I know that there aren't that many people out there who missed it, but who might have missed it, we're talking about the mistakes that are made in putting together a security system for your computer and other security systems in your small business, especially small business, because small businesses aren't necessarily the best equipped, in my opinion, to really cover themselves the way maybe a larger company could. Am I right about that, Stephen?
Yeah, you are, and a lot of small businesses have the opinion, well, that I don't have anything, I don't store anything. There's no reason anybody would want to, attack my business or attack me in any way. But I think that's one of the biggest mistakes, is just that opinion that you don't have anything. As long as you have money in your bank account, and your clients and your staff and your vendors have money in their bank accounts, you have something to offer cyber criminals.
One of the things I'm concerned about is I've spoken with other business people, and they tell me, well, I've gotten smart with regard to phishing emails, and I can usually spot one of these phony emails that come my way, and I just delete them immediately. I don't worry about it. Some of these actors out there have gotten very, very, very good at making their emails look legit. We talked about amongst my friends, we talked about an email that came through from places like AT&T or seemed to be places like AT&T or PayPal or some of the other companies out there that looked legitimate. I mean, they had markings, they had emails that were similar, all of that. And that can be extremely just depressing and distressing if you've lost a lot of money in the outcome of that, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. And yes, they look convincing, but what is even more threatening is when somebody receives an email from what appears to be somebody they trust. May not just be a big company that they do business with, but it could be a fellow employee, their business owner, a vendor, a client, whatever the case may be. They know this person, they see the email address is legitimate, and then they if they make it look just as convincing as these other ones you mentioned that are from the big companies. And that's definitely just one of those situations where you may be on top of it. You may feel you've got a good grasp with that. But think about all the people that you know and that trust you. If they were to get an email from you that looks like it was from you anyway and really wasn't, how are they at spotting those kind of scams? They may not be as good as you at determining whether that email is really legitimate or not. And they may, call the phone number or click on the link or change the bank account that is being asked to be changed for routing purposes in the email message. So it's not just what your capabilities are, but what are the capabilities of others out there?
So along that line, are we talking about a potential small business or mid-sized business getting into this sort of thing? Are you going to sit down and, create an IT position or something, or just try and beef up what your knowledge is of this amongst yourself and amongst your friends? Or how do you go about making sure this kind of thing is minimized?
Yeah, first they just can call me and I'll do a free email health check just to show them where they're at. And that's, no cost and no commitment, nothing, intrusive there. Just happy to do that for any small business that would like to have that done. And then we can kind of determine and see what your IT person is doing, whether that's an internal person or you're outsourcing that IT, and you'll kind of see where they're at. Maybe it's something that they can do for you and that they'll add to the list of services they're offering. But if not, those are services that I offer and that I can take care of for them.
Okay, again, it sounds like something that you really have to think through as opposed to just going down to your local store and picking up some software or something and hoping for the best.
Yeah, definitely. These kind of things are not something that you can just go pick up some antivirus software or download some antivirus software. These are things that take planning and configuration and changes, and so it's definitely not something you're just going to want to wander out and try to do on your own.
Okay. Well, you mentioned earlier that they can contact you with regard to a sweep of this sort of thing, and how would they do that if they wanted to talk with you and see what's happening?
Sure. They can, of course, go to my website. It's soundcybersecurity.com. There's a contact us page there that they can use. Of course, they can send me an email. It's Stephen, Stephen, at soundcybersecurity.com, or give me a call, 866-772-8181.
Okay. Back for some closing words from Stephen and myself right after this. Citywatch on the Air, heard locally and worldwide on iHeartRadio.com, takes you through the ins and outs of business, exactly what your business needs to showcase your product or service. And we can do it for as little as $10 a week. If you don't believe me, text PROVE IT to 310-291-2790. That's PROVE IT to 310-291-2790. Okay, we have been speaking with Stephen Jordon of Sound Cybersecurities about taking care of the security for your small business and taking care of some of those security mistakes that are often made. Give us again, quickly, Stephen, your info, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. So my webpage is soundcybersecurity.com. My phone number is 866-772-8181. And my email address is Stephen@soundcybersecurity.com.
Okay, StephenSoundCybersecurity.com. I am Michael, reminding you to believe in yourself. If you don't, no one else will. And we will talk with you next time.